Hello, hello, everyone. I hope everyone is fully awake by this time and doesn't have a huge hangover. Welcome, everyone. Great to be here, and I'm excited to have slides this time. So let me kick it off. So I'm Illia. I started Near back in the day with Alex, but things are evolving. So if you're not familiar with Near is a simple, secure, and scalable blockchain. Kind of the premise is if we want to get to mass adoption, which we do, we need something that is truly scalable, and for that we need sharding. The only way you can handle billions of users is by actually not processing everyone on one computer. So Near has launched sharding. We're running with 4 shards, and we're working on actually dynamic resharding, where we can keep adding capacity to the network as the growth of the ecosystem happens. And beyond that, if you're thinking of users, right, most of people are afraid of blockchain. Most people don't understand it. People definitely do not understand what 0x means and why they should be referred to by some random string of characters and numbers. And so really going beyond that and hiding all these blockchain concepts like hashing, private keys, and delivering simple experience, something that people are familiar with, like login with existing platform, is important. Similarly, if you're a developer, you probably don't want to learn new language when you're just starting to build new kind of new applications. So delivering Web 2 kind of style development, right? Delivering the same tools that you're familiar with is kind of what we focus on. And obviously, at the end, it needs to be something that doesn't destroy universe and our planet. And so being energy efficient, being certified carbon neutral, pretty much delivering kind of security and performance at a low cost to the planet is really important for us. So we've launched October 2020, so we're a little bit over a year, and we already have over 350 projects in the ecosystem. We have huge community, and it continues expanding, and it's very global. 4 million accounts kind of transacting through the network, and we have 6th largest developer base in crypto with like 2,000 active developers, and I'm sure we can 10x that by end of the year. So Near started kind of with this like basic idea, right, with a protocol at the core, because we saw that we are not able to achieve kind of the simple and scalable platform with any other existing system. And so we actually had a kind of a lot of focus on that originally, and as that evolved, right. It's not just one company or project that work on it. There's a ton of different teams and companies that are contributing to the protocol and leveraging it at kind of very deep level. So kind of just to name a few, there's Aurora, which if you were in this stage, I think an hour ago, Alex from Aurora was kind of explaining what that is. It's EVM compatibility that runs on top of Near protocol. It offers you exactly the same experience that you're getting from Ethereum, carbon copy of that, but with the same benefits that Near has, low, like fast blocks, 1-second blocks, low transaction fees, and fast finality. Octopus, on the other side, we just talked, we had just Osmosis talking about app chains. Octopus is a way to launch app chains connected to Near protocol as well. You are able to, again, launch it really quickly. You just stage your WebAssembly code of your app chain, and their validators picking it up and start running it. And you're just paying with the token that you created for your new chain, right? So again, like super easy, super quick bootstrap, allows you to quickly iterate and launch your networks. We have Machina, which is a data storage. Again, it's using Near protocol as a basis. It's using the same data availability machinery, but delivering you kind of large, ideally like exabyte level storage. We have Calimero, which is a private shard, right? So Near is sharding which means there's a lot of kind of parallel processing. Not all of this parallel processing needs to happen in public, and every single data piece and transaction is visible to everyone. We can actually run a lot of it in private, inside specific data centers, and then prove a lot of information about that computation that happened. And Pagoda, I'll introduce in a second. So Near focuses on 3 main verticals, right? We think of kind of, and they're not just kind of independent verticals, they actually work together. So DeFi, obviously, I mean, a lot of kind of Ethereum and blockchain general success is coming from finance. And in a way, this is an engine that attracts kind of capital that allows to pretty much fund development for the whole ecosystem. But at the same time, we need creators. We need people who are kind of generating new content, who are generating new value in the ecosystem. And developers are creators themselves. Game developers are creators. The people who are building new levels, user-generated content, people who are publishing blog posts, YouTube videos, etc. They're all creators, and there's a creator economy that's been built. NFTs is just a medium for doing this. And again, it's getting powered by the financial ecosystem and kind of funding this. But then beyond that, we need communities, right? Any creator out there has a whole community around them. It's followers, it's people who are talking with them, it's people who are contributing to the creation. Similarly, if we have a project like Near Protocol, it's a huge community that's actually pocketed in a bunch of different sub-communities around the world. And so digital cooperatives or DAOs are a tool to organize these communities, to launch tokens, to kind of funnel this creativity of the community and organize them to come together, right? And this is something that you cannot do with regular companies because company belongs to some place, it has an owner, it has some kind of shareholder structure. Here you have kind of more egalitarian way of bringing people together and then creating this economy around it. So beyond kind of technology and beyond verticals, there is what we call kind of go-to-market, right? Even though we have all this, it will not work itself. And so the important pieces is always kind of what are the teams and people who are actually pushing this forward. And so again, kind of the ecosystem is decentralized. There's a lot of different dimensions, right? So there is, for example, a human guild, which are here, and they're pushing on play-to-earn gaming, like how to enable gaming creators to really deliver the value, but also learn about this ecosystem. A lot of indie game developers and game developers in the world still don't understand crypto. They don't understand what the tools they have in toolbox. They're still thinking of how do we attract users through marketing versus how do we build a community that will be using this stuff. We have Proximity that's focused on DeFi, also somewhere around here. And then beyond that, we have geographic distribution with regional hubs. We have folks in China which are kind of running developer shops, they're running product labs, they're running community marketing, similar in Ukraine. Balkans, Kenya, and we're starting more and more of these. And at the same time, we have ecosystem funds that are funding the startups, right? So all this ecosystem together kind of funneling different aspects of applications, different aspects of community, and building them up. And so kind of original vision, right, of Near, when we were starting was how do we give tools to developers. And I'm a developer myself, right? The reason why we started it was we wanted to build some applications on the blockchain. We actually wanted to pay people around the world for some of the crowdsourcing we were doing, and we couldn't, right? We didn't have a platform that was low fees enough to justify, using it. It wasn't simple enough for people who we wanted to send money to be able to use it. But beyond that, as a developer, building on many of these platforms was complicated, and not just kind of the basic building, but also beyond that, how do you grow your application? How do you monitor it, etc.? And so the real story is that as we think of Web3, compared to Web2, where there's a lot of kind of stack of instruments that have been built in the past 10, 20 years, we have Amazon, we have HubSpot, we have Intercom, we have, Auth0, we have all those tools that you can actually piece together pretty quickly a kind of startup stack, right, to build your startup, to monitor, to understand what's going on, to log in users, to kind of understand their journeys. We don't have that in Web3. We still don't have that. And so we have kind of transitioned our original company that we're building Protocol to be the first Web3 startup platform. This is a place where, as a developer and an entrepreneur, you can come and you can start launching your startup really quickly. It gives you all the tools you need to launch and operate your startup, right? This means you have the data, blockchain data accessible. You have analytics of your application. You have upgradability for your contracts. It means you have, way to launch a DAO that you can start managing your contracts and ideally your community over time. It also means you can start, launching tokens, doing the lockups, all this nitty-gritty stuff that operations teams, spending a ton of time figuring out. All of this is just in one place. And so beyond that, like Near ecosystem has tons of stuff, right? So it's not that the Pagoda is building all this. It's a place where you get kind of access to all those tools, but they are coming from different places in the ecosystem. And if you're building something that's kind of fits into this framework, we can surface it as well and kind of give the usage of this to you. And obviously, it continues contributing to the Near kind of open source project, right? Because there's still a lot of development to be done on SDKs and APIs, and there's more cool things coming there. So just kind of to cover like the stack that is being built, right? Like at the bottom we have the blockchain protocol, the kind of the bread and butter of this whole ecosystem. But then beyond that, there's a ton of services and kind of tools that you need, right? Like all of us are using RPCs. We all need to kind of fetch some data from the blockchain, understand what's going on. We need some kind of streams of data to be able to react on them on the front end. Beyond that, we need analytics. We need to understand if something happens, probably you should get an alarm and kind of trigger some actions, right? For example, if your contracts maybe have been attacked, maybe you want to pause the contract automatically and then figure out with a DAO what to do next, right? Like all those things that actually improve security of the platform. We're talking about wallet services, right? At the end, you as an application actually have a responsibility to protect your users, right? You need to make sure that they are secure and when they use your application, they're not losing funds. And so giving them tools like second factor authentication, getting them notifications, for example, when something happens with their system, right? For example, again, we had Asmos talking about pools and you have impermanent loss. For example, just pushing notifications when the sudden price changes are happening would be instrumental to improving the kind of user experience and like usability of the systems. And beyond that, I mentioned kind of startup creation, right? Like, yes, you were here at Hackathon, you built some cool app. Now what? You need to launch it. You need to make sure you have a kind of governance structure that is able to upgrade this contract. You need to launch your own token. You want to maybe fundraise. You want to distribute it to your team. All of this tooling that you need kind of is coming in here into developer console. And obviously beyond that, like APIs, SDK, all of the stuff that you need to actually kind of access and visualize. And I do want to mention specifically marketing because, so I'm a developer myself. I hate marketing. That's just the normal state of the world for developers. But at the same time, marketing is a tool to actually communicate with your user, right? We're not talking about, huge ads on billboards. We're talking about people who are actually excited about your product, people who are interested in what you're building. You want to give them information about what's happening. You want to give them information of what's going to happen, right? And so to build that, right, NFTs is actually probably one of the best tools out there to connect you with a user or creator with a user, right? And so now that we have this tool, now we need tooling to actually do this, right? Like there's things like campaigns. There's things like, for example, talking like NFT-gated communities that you can build to actually start enabling this communication and actually get people who are most interested in your products have a bigger voice, share voice in giving you feedback, for example, right? So you can think of intercom like a thing in your websites right now. This intercom does not know how invested the user that asks a question is. But for example, if they have an NFT in their wallet that they logged in, now you're able to kind of have a direct conversation with them. So all those things, right, like integrating an existing applications and existing platforms on Near into a single experience. And so like this is kind of covering a lot what you can do with this platform, and this platform is still evolving, to be clear. We're just launching it actually at this event, and there's been some talks about this. But kind of beyond that, the ecosystem is evolving, and there's a ton of ways to get engaged, right? I just want to mention a few because there's specifically things like grants, right? Here at the event, I think we have 15 bounties, 25K, but beyond that, you can apply for grants at near.org. You can pretty much get funded to start building your company beyond that. We actually have a meta build hackathon finishing on Monday as well, so you can double dip between these hackathons. If you're doing DeFi, right, DeFi is actually a little bit more involved than just grants, so there's a separate kind of proximity, the DeFi go-to-market team that can help launching your DeFi startup. I mentioned we have regional hubs, right? So we have each of these regions, and right now it's mostly kind of around the world in places where we don't have as big events and as big presence kind of by the global community. they're starting to launch their own funding. And beyond that, like I want to mention OpenNet Collective, which is an accelerator that helps you and kind of connects you to a bunch of already existing entrepreneurs and startups to learn from them, and kind of goes through a curriculum and connects you to the investors, which is plenty of as well. So all in all, kind of the ecosystem is evolving. There's a ton of stuff going on. And check out Pagoda, because if you're trying to build a startup, if you're trying to build a project that may become a startup, this is what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to give you tools to really quickly adopt this and get this kind of to market, get users' feedback, and connect with them directly. Thank you.